Forget cheating, another issue is plaguing Counter-Strike servers. And it's cheating, but a different sort. I'm talking about fully automated players. Bots, if you will. But not the sort of bots you're familiar with. For as long as I can remember, Counter-Strike has supported bot players, who are there to populate empty servers to give people something to shoot at until other real players join. Now these bots are obvious because they're called bot and have the bot icon instead of a ping in the player list. But the type of bot I'm looking for in this video is not made by Valve, or at least I don't think it is. These bots are using a standard Steam account like you and I, and they're pretending to be real players. And they're everywhere. So I played 10 games of Deathmatch to figure out just how rampant this issue is. It's actually depressing how easy it is to find these players. Just boot up any Deathmatch game hosted in this map pool here, and you'll be met with a plethora of automated accounts. Most of them go still the moment you view them. It's blatantly obvious, yet I still want to be like, well, maybe they're a real player who's simply got AFK at that exact moment. But no, they're bots, aren't they? And if you click away from them, then come back, they've moved a bit, like those scary angel thingies from Doctor Who. These accounts don't have much in common with each other beyond their playstyle in Counter-Strike. Maybe they're hundreds of thousands of hacked accounts from real people. I don't know. But I do want to document the state the game is in as of the end of 2025. Like I said, playing hostage maps is cheating. It's too easy to find these players. In a way, it serves like a magnet to draw all the bots to those servers, leaving the rest more playable. But how much more playable? I played 10 deathmatch games across these 3 map pools to find out. The first game I played was surprisingly clean. I noticed that a lot of people were joining and quickly disconnecting again, and I wondered if these were bot accounts that had detected a spectator and quit to protect themselves from manual cheating reports, but it could also just be real people who connected to this server and, like me, thought it was Dust 2, but then found out it was Mirage by the time they had connected. That's enough reason for me to disconnect most of the time. But I stuck with it, and the minutes went on and I spectated everybody, and if there was nothing new to report for a while, then I'd just play for a bit until somebody new joined. Over the halfway mark through the game, I found my first bot. Anime profile, Asian lettering, look at its shaky aim. Now this one didn't seem to care that I was watching. It carried on in blissful ignorance, running aimlessly about, aiming aimlessly and shooting randomly. Now immediately you can tell this isn't a real person. Its aim is off, and it has an adversity to verticality. So this is the sort of player I'll be looking for in this video. The final kill of this first game was somebody killing the bot, which I'm sure is hugely symbolic of something. So all in all, the first game I spectated had been impacted by the bot problem. The second game was a complete flop. It was just me and actual bots for most of it. The good kind of bots, Valve bots. But such is the reality of testing. You go into it assuming either the experiences will be clean or plagued with cheaters, but then you find yourself just on an empty server instead. But I stuck with it because you never know what will end up happening. Surely joining an empty server and waiting for real players to join is also representative of a player's deathmatch experience. And a few people did end up joining, and being devoid of anything else to do, I scrutinised their playstyles way too much. Didn't find anything, and concluded that I would only be looking for obvious bot players in my testing, and wouldn't even care to look for cheaters. Although I will say now, I didn't spot any players who I thought were blatantly cheating. Not one in all the games I played. The third game was more of the same, just people and Valve bots shooting at each other as nature intended, until more real people joined. So that begs the question, so long as they're roughly the same ability as a Valve bot, then what's so bad about these fake bot players that I'm looking for? Surely they still serve the same purpose of getting shot by real people? Doesn't that give them value to Counter-Strike's ecosystem? Well, it isn't on, is it? Because it's deceptive. It's not like they're making these fake bot players to benefit the game, they're doing it to benefit themselves in some way, be it to grind cases or to mislead the game's anti-cheat systems. Who really knows for sure what these things are doing? All we know is that they exist and they interfere with our games. And they are actively working against us real players who invest our real time and effort into playing and getting better at this game. Just look at the way they behave. They don't behave like real people, do they? So if you're training against bots and cheaters, you're not actually building the skill set you need to actually get better at playing the game. And that's a factor I think a lot of people overlook. As an example, if you frequently play against wall hackers, then you're going to learn to play in a very different way from someone who's learned to creep around real players who can't see through walls. The fourth deathmatch game happened to be on Dust 2, and again I found a bot account with Asian lettering. But this one behaved a bit differently to the one from the first game, because the moment I started spectating this one, it stopped moving. and then it disconnected from the server. Like I said, this is a defense system that bots can use, so it doesn't look like they're cheating because they don't move when you're spectating them. So far, 2 of the 4 games have had bots in. The 5th game, I joined late. There wasn't much time, so I hastily flicked through all the players to spot telltale bot behaviour. Player 2025 Robots did get kicked, which might have been due to bot-related kickery, but I can't know for sure. And it would be out of line, because it doesn't seem like many people playing Deathmatch take bot accounts that seriously. Is it because they've been worn down by the endless flood of bot accounts, or is it just because they don't really impact the player's experience? They can carry on practicing Deathmatch. They were practicing against bots anyway. What difference do illegal bots make? But yeah, from what little I saw, the 5th game was clean. Well, the last minute of it was, that's all I saw. The 6th game was a lively server on Agency, and I saw no bots here either, just real people having a good game of Deathmatch, of which I joined in a bit. Bot Kyle was here again, being a real person pretending to be a bot player. Now we've seen all sorts. But yeah, I think it was a clean game here too. And a lovely chat with Dan the Man reminded me of what else would be lost if all you did was to play against mindless, soulless bots. Now don't get me wrong, I love single player games and interacting with NPCs. But if you're specifically loading up a multiplayer game, that isn't what you want, is it? So you don't want a lonely, soulless experience just because the game can't put you in a different trust factor to literal and blatant bots. Valve, please fix. My 7th game took place in the popular alpha map pool, and I'm sure I found at least 3 bots on this one. I felt like I was doing an Overwatch case, only a very easy one where they give themselves away the moment I view them. I was the guardian of this server, the person who got the bots to kick themselves. Sad it's got to this stage, but then it's sad that bots can so easily detect when they're being spectated. Human players using cheats have no doubt used this same tool to mask their cheating on public servers whenever they're being spectated. Imagine that! You're getting your head constantly dinked by one player, and you're absolutely sure they're cheating, but whenever you go to spectate them, they suddenly start playing like ass. How can this noob be beating you so soundly, and so on? Though competitive matches with their demo playback feature likely behave differently, because you can't just turn it on and off as people are spectating you when they can spectate the entire match. One of the bots on this server disconnected with an error sending snapshot console message. Now this happens a few times in my testing. It's got to be something to do with bot players, but I'm not sure if it's something the bots are intentionally doing to mess with Steam servers, or if it's an anti-cheat system kicking them for failing a check of some sort. The 8th game I played had me guessing. A few people behaved rather bizarrely, aiming at the floor and shooting in strange ways. But then I figured out why. It's because they're new players. These are the ones we need to be protecting. A lot of players have been and gone over the years, but to see genuine newbies whose mouse control is similar to that seen in 2004 Deathmatch games, this brought back a lot of good memories. These players are the ones actually playing the game, wanting to get into it. They are the future of Counter-Strike and must be protected. Though I will say, maybe it didn't bother them too much if the people they were fighting were real, bot, or malicious bot. They just seemed happy playing for the fun of playing, even with a very negative KD ratio. There was one really obvious cheating bot player bouncing about the middle of the map, but it seemed to do little to dampen the spirits of the rest of the server. The 9th game was, again, on Agency. I continued my overwatching of the server every time a player joined, and played the rest of the time because I was actually getting into it by this point. Now I didn't spot any obvious bots, but this scene is what haunts me. Kizuke joined, and when I spectated him, he stopped moving, but didn't stop aiming. Looked around for a bit, like he was getting ready to play with his other hand or something, and then he ran off and played for real. I wish I had watched him for longer, because I then just got distracted by the skybox that he had been staring at, because it's gorgeous. And then Kizuke eventually got kicked with that snapshot error. The 10th game had several bots. One carried on whilst being spectated, but was obviously aiming in a very bot-like way. And the other froze every time I spectated them, and I played a game where I tried to make them freeze every time they got into an engagement, like they cared about it or something. It's a waste of time, I know, but I felt like I was doing something, I guess. But again, I'd like to err on the side of caution here, because I'd hate to confuse somebody taking a pee break for someone who's actually a bot. But that's what the bots want you to think, isn't it? And this person did go awfully still for a very long time, even when I hadn't been viewing them for a while, which suggests pee break. And then the match ended before I could tell for sure. And then I felt weird because I was stalking someone who was possibly peeing. From these 10 games, at least half of them had at least one bot in. They didn't do much to hamper the experience, they just ran about like a bot, aiming like a bot and displaying various different behaviours to being caught as a bot. So for players of the game who don't care about anything else, you might get a feel that they might be a bot when they nail a really hard shot and then proceed to miss several easy ones. But aside from that, they don't play that differently from other real players or bots. Even I found myself to be better at the game than these bots were. So for me, at least, they were just a target to shoot at, rather than being a deadly killing machine that shot back at me too often. I'll finish by loading up a hostage map again, just to demonstrate how bad this bot situation can get. It was hilarious at points. I was flicking between two bot players trying to shoot at each other, each freezing as I spectated them, again and again and again. Then I'd grow tired of that and would move on to try and find another bot account, and the very next player would give it away. Next year, I'll spare you the tears. Valve's really got to do something special. And yeah, the next player I'd spectate would just go still when spectated, so I'd switch to the next and they'd just be spinning in circles and so on. Maybe this doesn't ruin your game if all you're doing is to try and tap heads. But it's not fair, is it? These bot accounts can't get away with doing this. Because if Valve's letting all of this obvious stuff slide, then it's making a mockery of their AI-driven cheat detection systems. Sure, they've stopped blatant cheaters who ruin your game, but this is dead internet theory right here. They're not even getting a thrill from killing you. It's pointless. And if Valve doesn't care about dealing with something this obvious, then what makes you think they're going to care about the more subtle cheaters? It's a botting epidemic, in full view of anyone who takes the time to look for it. It was so easy for me to make this video, even on the less plagued map pools. But on the plus side, I guess the processing burden of bots has been offloaded from Valve servers and onto these clients' computers. 5D move by Valve right there.